Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new session with Kudu Sal. In this session, the purpose is to continue our journey with the Agent Script and learn more about the language and the syntax. Because I think I will have one more video for the syntax, and after that, we want to start exploring the recipes shared by Salesforce. So it's very important to understand the blocks, the syntax for it in general, and then we'll dig deeper into them one by one for the recipes. If you feel overwhelmed, if you have any questions, let me know and I will try my best to answer your questions. And be patient. We will learn more and more in the other sessions as well in the other videos. So let's get started. And I hope if you didn't watch the previous session for the language, for the Asian script language, I will advise you to check it first because we'll continue from where we left. So the last time, what we focused on was the language characteristics and some features on how to do things or the syntax. And if you remember the last time when we finished the session, we learned about the indentation and we learned about as well um, the blocks. So we said like it's a key value um, language. So you will have like welcome, that's the welcome message and the value for it after the colon. And we said like this means like the message, and then the welcome is indented after the message. That means the welcome is a sub property for the messages property. We said usually the top level is a block. So that means we have here, for example, this one is Hello World app recipe. We have system, we have config, we have start agent, and we have a topic called greetings. So what are the blocks and what's the usage or the purpose of each? That's the purpose of the session, and we want to go through one by one as much as we can and explain it so we make it easier for the future when we go through the recipes. So I highlighted here as a summary based on the documentation that those are the blocks that we should have in our agent, and only the ones with the red asterisks are required. So that's based on the documentation. And again, the language is beta, and I'm doing this video based on the documentation at the time of the recording. So if you find that there is any changes that I didn't capture, message me and I will try to make a new video or update the slides to match what's the latest in the language if anything changed. So let's go through them one by one and try to explore what's the purpose of each. So first of all, we have the config block. So the config block, we want to know what's the purpose for it and why it's important and the details it will contain. So let's go here. The config block is very important and it's required. We'll have it always in all our agents. And the purpose for it is to have basic information about the agent. I will try in this video as well to link what we used to have in the old builder to what we have in the new one. So for anyone who's transitioning like myself from the old builder to the new one, they can relate. And if you never worked with the old builder, you can skip those examples referring to the old builder. So for the old builder, we used to have, when we defined an agent like that, we used to have like configuration to say what's the agent name, what's the API name, the description for it. And we used to use and define a specific user that our agent will use. And I'm not referring to an employee agent specifically, like when you're working with a service agent, you have to assign a user for the agent to use. So that's exactly what the config block will have, and we'll see what it has as like syntax. So again, it's a key value. So we have the key here as a config, and we have sub properties related to this config property. First of all, we have the developer name. So that's the API name for the variable for the agent. And we have a default agent user here that will refer to what user you will be working with. The label is user friendly that you will have to, like the user will see it as a label. And the description, it's mainly for the human and documentation. And just to make sure you don't get confused, when you go to the hello world, for example, you will find this is the configuration. You will find it under agent details. So the category here in the canvas, like on the left, the toolbar here, you will find it refer to agent details. But if you see it in the script, it's the config, and you can switch between like the canvas and the script. So the canvas will show you that you have agent name, API, what's the user you want to use, because here we are working with service agent, and what's the description. So that's the config block, and it's required. So any agent will have it configured. You can choose whether you want to do it through the script or the canvas. Let's go to the next block. So the next block will be system. And system is usually system level messages will be there. It will have instruction for the agent, brief, concise, that will be sent to the agent with every request. And let's see it. So again, here I'm stating that it will have the instructions for the agent. We want to keep based on the documentation in the app recipes that Salesforce shared. They say like keep it concise, not too big, like make it descriptive but concise at the same time. And it defines the agent personality, and it will be used by the LLM for each prompt. You will send it to the LLM. And also it will have a list of messages specifically for the welcome and the error. And again, this is not something new. We used to have this with the old builder. It was in the settings of the agent. There was a tab called System Messages. Not a lot of people go there and change the welcome message and the error message, but it's available for us in the old builder. And again, with the new builder, we want to see like the syntax. So the instructions here, we use the pipe. If you remember from last session, we said we use the pipe here because we don't want to have the instruction in a single line. So we put the pipe so we can have the instruction on multi-line. Then we have a property here called messages. And for the messages, you will find that you will always have like a welcome and error messages. So the same as we used to have. And instructions here, I just have a typo. It should be a small character at the I. So here the slides converted to capital. So make sure it's a small I, and we have the pipe for multi-line messages as a property, and then two sub-properties, one for the welcome message and one for the error. This one is required and it's important to have it. It's not optional. And as we saw, like in the canvas, it will be under the system messages, and you will have the same instruction, welcome, and error messages. So it's a choice whether you want to do it with the canvas or you want to do in the agent script yourself. Let's go to the next block. So we finished config and system, and they are two required blocks. The next one is variables. And variables, a lot of people think like it will be specific when you define a variable, it will be specific for one topic or the other. It's very important to know that they are global variables. So whenever you define a variable in this section, it will be global across the agent, and it can be used within any topic. So if you are working on a topic and you transition to the next, you can use any of the variables because the variables are global across all the topics. The same, like if anyone work with the variables in the old builder, we had a tab here for the context, and we were able to see what are the variables, and we were able to define ours here. It has its own syntax as well. So the block will be called variables, and you will have, you can define multiple variables. And we'll learn in the next slide what is string var, what is mutable, and why we have a string and equal here. But that's a general idea that this is the syntax for the variables block. You can use and refer to the variables in multiple ways. You can use it and refer to it in logic instructions, which is deterministic. We are 100% guaranteed that it will run. So we'll do add variables dot in the variable name. So for example, if I want to use string underscore var, I'll be add variables dot string underscore var as my variable name here. The other way is if I want to do variables, but instead of in a logic instructions, I want to use it in a reasoning instruction that is not deterministic. In that case, we'll do the curly bracket, like same syntax, but we'll start it with a curly bracket exclamation mark, and we'll end it with the curly bracket. We have here, I put for you two samples of variables. The first is we have here the one marked in orange before the colon is the variable names. And the variable names, there is some rules that Salesforce like is saying like it's better to stick to it. For example, and I didn't memorize them, but you'll find that the variable name should begin with a letter, not underscore, alphanumeric and underscore only. It cannot end with an underscore, so it cannot have two double quotes, a maximum of 80 characters. Do we need to memorize it? No, it's part of Salesforce documentation, and it's in the variables section for the agent script. Next, you will find here, after the colon, I have mutable or linked. So those are two types that we can define in agent script. We can have a mutable variable or a linked variable. Mutable variables are the variables that you can define. Here, for example, we set it's a string, and we can give it a default value as hello world. Later on in the script, you can set the variable string underscore var to a new value. So you can define a default value for it, and your agent script can use it and can change the value for it. So it's more or less like normal variables that we are used to work with when we are working with Apex variables, for example. When we have linked, so linked variables, you will say linked, then again the data type for it. Here it's string. You can have a description that can help the LLM to understand the usage for it, but it has, and it's a must to have a source. So here it's a variable that has to have a source. So we are saying the source is the session ID, for example, in that case. And that's something we cannot like change later on. So once we define a linked variable, the session ID is set by the system. We don't set it. We cannot write in our agent script a statement to change the value from session ID to become, for example, hard-coded value. And as you can see as well, I cannot set a default value for it because we are relying on the source of the variable to provide this value for us. So you can think more or less that it's kind of a constant that you cannot change, and it's handled by the system, the value for you. And you can refer to the variable with its name in your instructions to use it or to get the value for it. Here I have a table for you that differentiate the mutable versus the linked. So as we mentioned, mutable, you can have a default value. Linked, you cannot. Can the agent script change the value? In mutable, yes, it's a normal variable. Linked, we cannot. When you're working with mutable as well, we have 7 types available at the time of this recording. In linked variables, we have only 5. The ones that are highlighted here in yellow, like the object and the list of type, are the extra variable types that we cannot have and not available for the linked variables. Um, some ways of dealing with variables I want to highlight it is variables, as we mentioned, are global variables and global containers where we can store values in them. So they would be very helpful because one of the strong criteria or options we have with the agent script is to move from one topic to another. So we can transition from one topic to another anytime using the agent script language. And if we store value in a variable, this value become available for us for any other topic will be redirected to. Also, we can use variables to inject values in the reasoning instructions, and we'll see that together. And also how we can use LLM to set the variables. We don't have to set the value for the variables ourselves. We can ask the LLM to define. So those are patterns I want to show it to you. So the first is sharing information between topics, and that will happen, for example, here. We have an instruction. It's a logic instruction. That means it's guaranteed 100% that it will be executed. So we are doing add actions dot get current weather data. So this is an action, a topic action we define, and we'll learn more about topic actions in a bit. And we are saying pass to this action to the city parameter of this function that is expecting a value for the city. So we are saying use add variables dot user city. It's a variable we define. And then this method or this action will return an output. We are using the add output resource dot current temperature that came back to set another variable. So that means whenever, like if that was in a topic called check weather, and later on we transition to book, for example, an activity or something else, if we want to check add variables dot temperature, we will find the value that was like returned from this action, given that this topic and its action and this reasoning happened first. So again, it may be a bit like not 100% clear, but the most important thing to know now that those are global containers. So the minute, like we don't know who set the user city. Maybe it's just a default value we put it. Maybe another topic changed the value from the default value to something else. And the same, we are using the output of this action to set a variable called temperature. So regardless where we will access the temperature variable, within the same topic, another topic, we will have the value available for us as long as we set the value as we have here. So it can be a useful way to communicate and pass values across different topics. The next option is injecting variables into reasoning instruction. And you remember we said like there is in the instructions of the reasoning, we have either deterministic as a logic instruction. We saw it last time. So in that case, that was a deterministic. Or we have a logic instruction where we start with a pipe. So here we will say like task manager status, and we are checking like if there is task, like there is value, like put and append to the task prompt, add variables dot tasks. And because we said reasoning instruction and it's not a logic instruction, it's a reasoning instruction. That's why we used it with the curly bracket. You remember we said at the beginning, there is a deterministic way to call variables versus if we call it from the reasoning instruction. So this is simple for the reasoning instruction. The third pattern or something I wanted to show to you is we want to allow the LLM to set the variables. So we saw here when I wanted to call this function, I said like I want the city to be this value of the variable, and I did add variables.userCity. Sometimes we don't want to define and be deterministic about the value, and we want the LLM to fill it for us. And that's why, for example, here we have an action called capture user info, and we are calling a utility called set variables, and we are using with first name, that's a variable we have, and last name, it's a variable we have, and we are saying like, or like we are setting first name variable with, we are not setting with a specific value. We are saying three dots means LLM, figure it out. We want you to get the value and pass it for the first name, and the same, pass the last name. So the LLM will ask the user for their first name and last name. It will capture this information and it will use LLM to set first name variable versus last name. So that's very important. And sometimes you would need that to happen if you don't want to be deterministic. If you want it to be deterministic and you are storing the first name in a certain variables, we could do add variables dot first name, for example, value. But here I want the LLM to ask the user for the values. And when it comes back, the LLM will use its own logic to detect what is the first name and what's the last name and set the variables with. I have here a sample for you from the UI just to show you also the variables from the canvas. So from the left, I chose variables. You will see here all the variables defined for this agent. When it says custom, that will be mutable variable. If you have a messaging session and it doesn't show custom, that will be linked. So if I switch back here, I have one, two, three, four mutable variables. And at the case ID, I have a source for it and it's linked. So again, that can be a choice whether you want to work with the script or you want to work with the canvas. And when you click add, you can choose whether you are creating a new mutable custom variable or you want to add a new linked variable and you choose which one to add. So it's a choice, but the option is available for us. Next is the language. And it's straightforward. The language is the block defining what are the languages your agent is supporting. And again, in the past, we had this. We had in the old builder a language settings tab, and we could set like the tone and we set like the default language. In the agent script, we have a language block. So you can define the default locale. You can add additional locale, and there is a property called all additional locales. You can set it to true or false. But again, this one of the blocks that I feel it may be easier for you if you do it from the canvas, and that's UI for it in the canvas. So you'll have a section called languages. You can choose from here what's the default value and then what are the allowed. Like you can move from left to right based on the languages the agent is currently supporting. So you can add the allowed languages that you want. So this is one of the blocks I feel it's easier to do it from the language or the canvas, but it's good to know that exists or how to do it. Next is the connection. And the connection is useful when you are working with service agent, like later when the employee agent will be available, you don't need to have a connection. But you need to have a connection when you are working with service agent, like you want to like have it available in a chat. For example, I was working on email service agent, so I made it available through email messages, how you want the agent to interact with the outside connection. And again, you can have the option from the canvas or the script will have like what's the escalation message you want to have, what's the outbound route type, the route name, adaptive response allowed true or false. So all of those are settings when you want to expose your agent and handle how the connection will look like and how it will interact with outside connections. Uh, and I believe using this in the canvas may be easier. And based on like the connection, here the connection is messaging. Based on the connection type that is available, those settings may be different. So whenever you're working with a service agent and you will choose the connection type, you may need to research what are the properties available for you or rely on the canvas to do it for you. And after you set it up through the canvas, you can look into the agent script language. Okay, next we have two things. Like we will have start agent, the entry topic, and we have can have one or multiple topics. Um, so I thought a lot like how can I approach this? So because I feel the entry topic is a special type of topics, we'll start first by explaining a topic in general, how it looks like, the syntax, the difference between action, topic action versus reasoning action, what is the instruction, reasoning instructions, and how we have like logic instructions versus non-deterministic instructions as well. So let's go through this uh, and learn more about the topic, and then we'll go back and see the entry topic later on. So the topic in general, if you remember in the old builder, when you create your agent, you can have a topic, you can create new topic. So when you hit new topic, you give it a name, API name. We were used to give it description, scope, instructions. After that as well, we used to give what are the actions. So in a way or another, we'll be doing the same with the Agent script language. It may have different names, but it's the same idea. We want to define for our agent what are the topics, what are the actions for the topics, and we want to learn about the different blocks and the syntax for them. So let's go ahead. A topic will have a header. The header is simple information about it. Like we'll have like what's the topic name, what the description for the topic, um, what like for the description you put like 2, 3 statements to describe how the user should be able to trigger this topic, the capabilities related to it, and this description may help later on the start topic or the start agent, the topic selector that you'll be having later on, and we'll learn more about that. But you need to know like the header will have basic information about your topic. Then you have actions, and I like to name those as topic actions. And we'll define them and we'll know what are the types of actions available for the topic actions. Then we'll have reasoning. The reasoning block will have two kind of sub blocks or sub properties, instructions, and action. And I like to name those like the actions here as the reasoning actions or the tools. And it can be different. There is different types of tools we can expose within the reasoning actions section. And there is different ways of how we can call whether the topic action or the reasoning action from the instructions. And we will see how that will work. The instructions themselves will be, again, as we used to do, like what are the steps the agent should follow for the topic. But the good thing here, we'll have more. We can have if statements and deterministic. We can set variables. We can transition to other topics within our instructions, and we'll learn more about that together. So, in the last part, we'll have after reasoning. And the after reasoning, it's optional, like it's not required. And the use case for it is sometimes you have steps that you want your agent to follow or your topic to follow. And maybe at the end, I want you to, after everything is done, I want you to send an email or I want to transition to a certain topic that I want to guarantee it will happen after all the reasoning and instructions in the reasoning will happen. So there is an optional block called after reasoning we can be using within a topic. Okay, first, like I want to tackle what are the options and types of topic actions we can work with. So you can have a flow, you can have and let me remind you as well, that's an old agent. If I do new action, we had like apex, flow, prompt. So the same, like we are setting what is the type of the action we have. So for the flow, you will have, for example, this is an example of the flow and how it looks like as an topic action. So we have here a name for the action. We have a description for it. Then we have a section to describe what are the outputs from this action. And the most important thing that we have target equal a colon and flow, and then the developer name or the API name for the flow. Another action we can have or type of action is apex, and the different will be this is like a mistake here. this should be apex, not prompt. So you will have here, as an example, you have target here. If it's apex, you will have apex colon and then the class name. And again, you will have what's the action name. You have description, the input, and the outputs. The third type is prompt. So you will have your target as prompt and the developer name for your prompt. Let's see some properties for the topic action. And all of that, I got it from like Salesforce documentation. So first of all, like again, you can feel free anytime to refer to the documentation, and I strongly recommend you do that because again, it's a beta language. It may change. So what I'm saying, maybe at the time you need to work with it. I don't expect it to be 100% change, but who knows? And in that case, I'll create a new video, but you want to, for example, the action name, what are the characteristics that you need to follow? Like it should begin with a letter, no underscore, no two double underscore, and so on. Next, you will have a description. And the description, it will be used by the LLM when needed to decide to run the action or not. And after that, you have this section here or like the property inputs, and we'll have sub properties for each input if you have more than one. And you will find that you will be defining like the input description or the input name, the data type for it, and here the description. And you can have other like if it's required or not, and here like as an input, what are the data types available? And again, I don't memorize it. I know that it exists in the documentation, so if needed, I will come and check to make sure that I'm using a valid data type. Same for the output. That's the section where you will define like, you remember when we used to add the action in the old builder, we had on the left the inputs, on the right the outputs. So here the same, like we are defining the inputs and the outputs. And the outputs, um, by default, the agent for like the Agentforce agent as per the documentation, it will remember the action output information for the entire session. And also there are some settings you can define for the output, like the description for it, the name for the variable, the data type. You can add label. There is something if you have a complex data type, and also there is filter. There is a tag called filter from agent. That will be an optional boolean, and that's why, for example, here we don't have it. If it's set to true, the output will be excluded from the context of the agent. But if it's set to false, the agent will remember the value for it and it's part of the agent context. And by default, if we don't have it, it's set to false. The most important thing here, the target, and it's required. It will keep us like clear and we know which like data like type of action we are dealing with. If it's flow, if it's um, apex, if it's prompt. And also there is some parameters like show in progress indicator, and there is something to set like if you want to require user confirmation before running the action or not. So again, those will be some extra properties where you can find it here. So require user confirmation. You can here include a progress indicator to see like, for example, to say like I'm working on creating the order, I'm updating the record, the account record, whatever the action you are running, you can show a progress indicator that this action is running, or this one too. So again, all of that is part of the documentation. It's just important to know that they exist. Uh, the second part, like we learned a little bit now about the topic actions, how we can call the topic actions. There is different ways to do that. The first one and the easiest way would be to call the topic action directly from the reasoning logic instruction. When you do that, it will be guaranteed 100% that the action will be executed. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a topic instruction, and here I'm not giving you the whole block of like a topic and the action within the topic. I'm just zooming on the topic action. So we defined a lookup current order. We gave it a description, input, output, and the target is a flow. Then in the reasoning instruction, what we can have now, we can have a deterministic way to call our topic action directly. And that's by having a logic instruction. And that's why we have the arrow, we have the if statement. I'm checking if order summary is empty. Then I'm calling actions dot lookup current order. And that's a topic action. And then because the topic action needs a member email, so that's why I'm saying with member email, and I'm stating which variable we are getting the value from. If I didn't want to be deterministic and sending a specific value, I could use the three dots. And we know that it will come back with an output. So I care about the order summary. So I'm setting the order summary variable with the output order summary. And I could set an order ID variable as well. But this is deterministic. That means when the instructions are executed from top to bottom, it's guaranteed 100% if the order summary is empty, that this method or this action will be executed, will parameter will be passed, and the output will be stored in this variable. So that's the deterministic and how you can call the topic action directly from logic instruction. So sometimes you don't have like, or you don't want to be 100% deterministic and call the topic action directly. And you may need to call it in a reasoning instruction that is not 100% guaranteed. In order to do that, we don't call directly the topic action. And as simple as because we cannot in a reasoning instruction make like a bracket and pass parameters as we do when we call Apex methods, for example. So we have to do something in between. We have to make the call first or create something that we can call from the reasoning action. And that's where we'll be adding our topic action to the reasoning action section. And does the reasoning section actions will only allow topic actions and that's it? No, it has other options that we can use. Let's see that together. So that's what we want. Like we want to learn now more about the actions within the reasoning, the tools. So I like to refer to them as reasoning actions or reasoning tools. The reasoning tools, there is more than one type of the tools that we can define. First, we can call topic action from the reasoning tool, or the reasoning tool, we can define a call for the topic action. We can set variables, we can transition to another topic, and we can do escalation as well. So let's see it together in an example. So here I have an example. First, this is not topic action. This is will be within the reasoning block. We'll have actions. So the reasoning actions. So here we define like we have an action called lookup order tool, and we said we'll call add actions dot lookup order. This itself is a topic action. So I'm calling a topic action from the reasoning action. And here we said with query, I put the three dots. I want the LLM to choose it. And we are setting two other variables with specific values. So that's the first type of a tool I can define in the reasoning action. Second one is setting a variable. So I can have here user confirmation. That's the name of the action or the tool I'm creating in the reasoning section or the reasoning block. And I'm saying use the add utils resource and set variable. And I'm saying set confirmation receive with true. Next, we can transition to another topic. So here I'm using another resource at utils.transition, and I'm saying transition to topic called order details. And in that case, I will be transitioned to that order and never come back to the to another topic and never back to the current topic. There is another way to call another topic, finish it, and come back and resume where you left. But for now, this is another tool or action type you can have in your reasoning actions. Last is escalate, so you can have a resource to do escalation. So now we learned about the types of the reasoning actions. How about like I want to call then an action within the reasoning? So the steps to do that will add the topic action to reasoning action. And that's what we saw with the previous example. And then within the reasoning action, I will call the reasoning action itself from the reasoning instruction. And I know it's a bit confusing. It took me a while to understand the difference between a topic action and a reasoning action. And you can think of it like the topic action is more of the class, the method definition, and the method, logic and everything there. And the reasoning action can be how I be calling the topic action, an instance for the call, and then in the reasoning action, I'll be calling the instance I created to call my method. So it's another way to think about it, but you have to know the difference. Like when you're calling from the logic instruction to topic instruction directly, it's guaranteed 100%. If you call a topic action from a reasoning action within a reasoning instruction, it's not guaranteed. And we'll see it as an example, but don't be like overwhelmed. And if you need other examples and other than the one I will have here in the video, message me and I will try either to prioritize in a recipe for Salesforce to explain it, or we'll go through it, or I will create another example for you. But let's see. So here I have defined, this is a topic action. So topic action, we saw it together before, like you will give it a name, description, what's the input, what are the outputs, the target is flow. So I defined my action. And next we said like if I want to call it from a reasoning instruction, not deterministic, I have to add first the topic action as a reasoning action. And that's what we are doing. We're adding a tool. So we're adding a tool that we name it, for example, lookup order tool. It's not the same name. And I would rather not to have the same name and get confused. Am I calling the tool or I'm calling the topic action? The tool itself is calling the topic action here. So we are creating here the instance for calling this method. And I'm setting what's the query and the parameters I'll be passed. Then the reasoning instructions, it's not deterministic. So we start with a pipe. I have here between the curly brackets, the action, but which action? It's the reasoning action, the tool in the reasoning actions. So I have here lookup order tool, which will be in the reasoning block. I'm calling it here from the reasoning instruction. And in that case, it's not deterministic. It's maybe it will be executed. It's not 100% guaranteed. If we want it to be 100% guaranteed, we'll have a deterministic instruction and we'll call directly the topic action. So that's the main difference between deterministic and non-deterministic. If deterministic, we'll be running directly the action. If it's not deterministic, then you will add the action as a tool and then you will use it in your reasoning instruction like that. Okay, so we saw together, we understood what's the header. We saw in depth what are the actions, the types, flow, epochs, and prompt. We saw what is a reasoning action or a tool, and we saw it's not just calling a topic action, it can be set variables, escalate, transition to another topics, and so on. There is within the reasoning a section for instructions, and we kind of like touch base on it last time and this time by saying we have logic instructions and we have non-deterministic instructions as well. So let's see together. I want to see together a topic with its own header, the action section or block, the reasoning with its own instructions and actions all together to make sense. Because here we are creating a generic like or a normal topic, we need to have this keyword topic and then you choose the topic name. The description is part of the header section we talked about. And then you'll have the reasoning block and you have the topic actions block. So you have lookup order, lookup or current order. Each of them is calling a flow. I knew that from the target. Then you'll have within your reasoning, what are the tools? And you will have instructions. So for the reasoning tools, it's the same one that we saw before. So you can call a topic action, you can set a variable, you can transition to another topic, you can escalate. So all of that will be within your action. I just removed most of it just to fit in the section, but in the area here in the slide, but it's everything we saw here will be within your action. And I have to remind you, like with the agent script, indentation is super important. So because why I knew this is a reasoning action, because I knew it's indented after the reasoning. You will notice here the actions is indented with reasoning. So those are the topic actions. So it's very important. Instruction, let's see together. Here I have mixed logic instruction, and we saw this example last time, but just to refresh the memory, we have if I'm using one of the variables, if it's empty, I'm running here a topic instruction. So I'm running a topic instruction, topic action directly, and that means it's guaranteed 100% it will be executed. Here I have prompt instruction, and that means it's not 100% guaranteed. And here, when I'm calling at actions.lookup order tool. So we are not calling a topic action here. We are calling a tool that we defined. The tool can be calling a topic action, escalating, setting a variable. It can be doing anything. So from the prompt, we are calling reasoning action or reasoning tools. From a logic instruction, we are calling topic actions. And as we mentioned, calling reasoning actions or tool, it's not the topic. And because we cannot do lookup order and pass parameters. So that's why we have to put it in the reasoning tool or reasoning action and use it here in the prompt instruction. Once we said like prompt instruction, that means it's not 100% guaranteed to run. But because we have here this within a logic instruction, that's 100% guaranteed that it will be executed and it will run. So it's very important. Whenever you want to have something deterministic or guaranteed 100%, you'll be relying on logic instructions. If you want the LLM to decide whether to run it or not, and you don't want it to be 100% guaranteed, so you rely on a prompt instruction. And if you want to call an action from a logic instruction, you'll be referring to topic action. If you need to call an action within a prompt instruction, you'll be calling a reasoning action. And again, I just minimized, I zoomed out, and that will show you. For example, here I have at actions dot lookup order. This is a topic instruction. Here in the prompt instruction, I'm calling lookup order tool, which is a reasoning action. This type or this reasoning action is actually calling a topic action. It's calling lookup order topic action. So that's very important. And it took me a while to differentiate like topic versus reasoning action, but it's very important to understand. And it's crucial to understand as well what's the difference between logic instructions and prompt instructions and what it means guaranteed to be executed versus not. Okay, so the example we saw had a header reasoning with its own instructions and tools and actions. There is something more that we can be doing, which is after reasoning. And I would say, like, we won't spend too much time on it. I think it's a bit more advanced. And 100% we'll go through it again when we have a recipe that needs after reasoning. But just to give you an idea, after reasoning, it runs after the topic, like reasoning section or reasoning block is 100% done and executed. So with every request, if you run the reasoning instructions of a topic, once that's done, we would run the after reasoning will be executed. And it's now, like with the old builder, I was able to do that to have a final action or final thing that I want to run. But I heard a lot of people were facing the same issue, or the issue of not being able to 100% call something towards the end, before ending, before exiting the topic actions or instructions execution. I was lucky, I didn't face that. I was able to do it, but this is a way to do that. The after reasoning block can contain logic, can have actions, transition. It cannot, as per Salesforce documentation, cannot have the pipe command. I didn't test it myself if I add in after reasoning a pipe command and see if it will get an error or not. But as per the documentation, it cannot contain the pipe command. So it's more, we want to have logic or deterministic more in the after reasoning from what I understand from the documentation. It's typically used for any cleanup we want to do. If we want to do final logging, we want to update the state of a certain variable towards the end. We want to run any analytics, transition to a specific topic at the end, or run a certain action towards the end. So again, uh, I didn't dig deeper into it because I went into discussion with someone and we were saying like, would I need to do it, or basically have the thing that I want to run at the end be like in order, because everything is executed in order, so I do it at the end. I cannot like comment on that much, but maybe even for organization and how your logic looks like and easier to maintain, I think it will make sense if you have something that you really, really want to happen after all the reasoning between deterministic and prompt instruction to be executed within your reasoning section to run this. I think I would be doing and putting those in the after reasoning, even for maintainability, like to make keep my code easier to be maintained. So that's an example. And after here should be small, but after reasoning, we had reasoning. Now it's after reasoning block. And we have this arrow because we have a logic instruction. I'm saying if the variable called urgency level is urgent, set estimated duration to 15. If urgency level is routine, set the duration to 30. So you can have here logic, you are setting certain variables. You may need to run it after the reasoning section or block is done and complete. So next, we sew together config system. Those are required. Variables, language connection are optional. And we understood together, I think, very well. And I hope it's not confusing. And I'm willing to answer any questions to my abilities. And I believe the more we look into app recipes, I will learn more and you will learn more. But we have the start agent or the entry topic, or sometimes people refer to it as the topic selector. We skip that because it's in a way or another looks similar to a topic. So I wanted to understand the topic. And then the start agent is a special case and it's required. Every agent needs to have it and go to the entry topic. So the entry topic, or as I mentioned, like some people refer to it as topic selector. The purpose for it is to be able to redirect the user to which topic, select the right topic that you want to execute. And it will happen every time the user will write an utterance or type something in the chat and hit enter. Even if the agent asks for a follow-up question, like for example, I want to order to update my order to active, and I hit enter. The agent most probably will ask me what's the order number or verify your username. When I will say, oh, sorry, I recognize that I missed the order number. I will say order number 123, hit enter. The first time, the topic selector or the entry topic got executed first. Next time, when I enter the missing order number, again, the entry topic will be executed first as the first topic and the first entry point to your agent. So it will happen over and over and over again. So that's very important to know. Um, you will have here, instead of topic, it will be start agent. And because it's a topic, again, you will have the reasoning. The main areas for it will be the reasoning, instruction, actions, and the topic actions, reasoning actions and topic actions. So, and it's required, as we said, you must have it and it should be available. So let's see an example. Here, if you remember when we were talking about the topics, we said here we will have a keyword called topic. Your agent's like entry topic and the topic selector needs to have this keyword, start underscore agent. It can't have topic as the keyword. It will be considered as a normal topic. Your agent need to see a topic with the key a word start underscore agent. So that's very important. The topic selector name, it can be anything. And I wanted to highlight this because I noticed in most of um, the scripts or the recipes, they have the name as topic selector. I don't want anyone to think like we need to have the name as topic selector. It can be any name you want. You can name it ABC, but I like the name topic selector because that's really the purpose. Like it's the entry point for any utterance or any prompt the user will type and hit enter to choose the right topic to be selected, but I just wanted to make it clear. Here we have the header, part of the header that we want to have a description. What's the description of this topic? So most probably it will be like we want to determine and choose the appropriate topic based on the user input. You'll have reasoning, you will have the topic actions. Um, Most of the time, you may not need a topic action. And again, that's based on like the couple of scripts or like recipes I checked. Like I don't see like actions like this is a reasoning action. It's within the reasoning block, and that's because of the indentation. So I didn't so far see, like, remember, like I'm learning the Agent script language with you. I'm just learning, understanding to the best of my ability, and coming to share my knowledge with you. So the reasoning will have instructions and the reasoning tools. For example, here, the instruction, we have the pipe sign. That means it's multi-line instruction. We are saying you are a topic selector for the assistant, welcome the guest, and determine the most appropriate topic. It's a very, very important thing to notice. We didn't say which tool to use. And that's something you have to learn. Like the actions, the reasoning actions you will have in your topic, the start agent or any other topic, it's like an option for the agent to choose from. It's available for the agent when you have a prompt instruction like this. It's not deterministic to pick and choose based on what the user typed and your instruction, the description of the actions, which the best one to choose. So you will notice here, I didn't say any if statements. I didn't say use this go to account or go to new code. We made those two actions available by defining them in the reasoning action. And then we let the agent or the topic selector, our start agent topic, to pick and choose. So we are saying you have a prompt instruction saying you are a topic selector, welcome the guest, and determine the most. So what will happen that the agent will see what are the options I have, what are the actions I have. So it will have go to account, go to new code, and it will transition to the topic. So you will find that you will have in that example the start agent topic selector, then you will have a topic called account help, and you will have another topic called new code. It has to be defined in your agent for you to be able to add it in your reasoning action. But we are using the resource utils.transition to transition a topic, and we let the LLM decide which is the best. And that's based on the user input and the descriptions of each of actions. So here we are saying when user needs help with account, go to account help. If user needs to create a new code, so it will go to new code. If let's say the user say, I just want to chat, it's none of those. So it will tell the user, I cannot like help you, or this is not something I can support you with. So it's very important as well to focus that the description is very important. It will help the agent in that case to pick and choose which is the best reasoning tool to go to. So that's super, super important. And again, as you see, like it's the same structure of any other normal topic. We'll have a header or like a description name. It has the reasoning, the instructions, the reasoning actions. It may have a topic action if needed. And the only difference is we don't have topic as keyword. We have um, the start underscore agent. Again, would you have after reasoning or not? I didn't see anything in the documentation that says like the start agent topic cannot have it, but remember that the start agent topic will be executed every single time the user will type something and hit enter. So we have to be mindful. If I want really more actions, do I really want after reasoning or not? Because it will be executed every single time. So be mindful with that. And with that, we covered the config, system, required, three optional blocks, and we explained the topic with their details. And I hope I did my best to make it clear the difference between the topic action and the reasoning action. And again, it will be more clear with time whenever we will cover more or like start covering the recipes Salesforce is providing for us. And with that, I would love to thank you all for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Again, I'm learning, same as you, and I'm sharing whatever I'm learning at this stage with you, and we learn each recipe together one by one. What to expect? I want you to expect a very soon another video explaining to you exactly like I want to cover two things. The two options we have for transitioning between topics, because this is a very important feature for the agent script, being able to force based on your logic if you need to transition to a topic, another topic anytime or not. So I want to say how you can go to another topic and the logic will never go back to the first, whether you do that or how you can call in a two-way communication. Like I will call the second topic, when it's done, I will resume. So we want to show that. And the other thing, I want to walk you through the example I found in the documentation that helped me understand the power of the agent script and how it would resolve dynamic prompt to be sent to the LLM, because not every single step we have in the instruction will be sent standalone to the LLM. We are using the script and we will go through it line by line to concatenate a dynamic prompt that will be sent at the end to the LLM. So that's a very important thing. At least from my understanding, this is how it's working. And I will walk you through an example I found in Salesforce documentation to understand that together. So hopefully that the next video will be our last, covering the basics and the syntax and the details about the agent script. And After that, we will start our next journey of covering and explaining one by one the app recipes shared by Salesforce that I think it's an amazing job and it's great effort from their end. So we can see the different possibilities and different characteristics and options we can achieve with the code and with the agent script language all together and expand our knowledge. So I want to thank you all for listening, and I hope it was useful. And I'll see you soon with another video as well. Thank you so much, and have a great day.